Hello, Merry Christmas, and welcome to my 2022 team reel. Uh, let's just ignore last year. I traded in Buddy, and that's the last you heard of me. I think that should give you the message of how it went. Ended at a rank of 7. I'll show you my rank. We ended at a rank at 17-17, which is not bad at all. But definitely could have been better. When I traded in Buddy, I was in the 300s. It just went plummeted after that. So we'll move on from that. Lesson learned: don't trust an aging key forward unless their name is Tom Hawkins. But anyway, moving on to the team. At D1 this season, we've got Jake Lloyd, 105 to 110 averages, 586k. Plays most of his game. Got rested last year, so he missed one. But yeah, plays most games. Cheapest we've had him as a premium, I think, for a long time. I think 570, maybe 1 year. But I think it just proves that season, I think it was 2019 when he was 608k, and people didn't want to pay up for him. He was just hard to get in, and I think it might be the same this year. It might not, but with Dawson leaving, I think that could help him a little. I don't think it affected him too much last year, but any little bit of more gulling can help. So I think he's a great pick for D1. At D2, we have Aaron Hall. We don't have to explain this, do we? We saw what he did in his role last year. Unless there's a role change for him, which I doubt there will be, I think we just start him. 120 average. He went 140 on De Boer with a tag. I just think we put him in, and if he gets injured or anything happens in the preseason that we don't like, or something we hear that's a bit off, we can swap him out. But other than that, I think he's a great pick for D2. Moving to D3, Lockie Whitfield at 502k is such a good value pick. Even at 500k, it presents so much value. At an average rate of like 90s, he's a player that can go 110, go 105, go into the hundreds, and really perform. And at 502k, I think that's a really good selection. The rookies, I just slide them in. Don't know anything about them. They're just placeholders for now, and hope players can come around. But yeah, I've just heard good things about these guys. And obviously, you've got to have Will Gould in there every year until round 1 where he doesn't get selected. But M1, Jackson McRae. M2, Jack Steele. M3, Took Miller. I don't think I have to explain. Sorry about that. I don't think I have to explain too much on McRae. You know, he's just really consistent, 120 average player, plays nearly every game, and reliable captain choice. Steele, obviously we saw what he's done last year and the year before, I think, for a little bit, or the second half of the season, maybe. Memory's failing me, but we can see what he can do. Marshall, if he's out round 1, maybe if you're only starting 3 of the first 4, maybe Steele's one you start to drop instead. But I think Steele is a lock. You obviously want him in your last 8. So I think he's a great starting selection. Now I've gone with Took over Clary. I think Took has a much easier fixture to start off, obviously. Obviously Clary has the best team in the AFL at the moment. But I've gone with Took. Easier fixture, harder to tag, and he has a beast tank. I think it's really hard to separate. Like, they're all so close. Maybe McRae's a bit above all of them, and maybe Steele's a bit. But they're all so elite that it's hard to not pick one and give you valid reason for not picking one. But I've just gone with Took right now. I think more of a pod probably. And Clary, I think, has more of a chance to have a worse game early, especially round 1 when it's dogs versus Ds. You know, Clary might still go 140, but with so many points being shared, you got McRae, Bontempelli, Dunkley, all those dogs midfielders, and the scraps that you need to give to Gawn, who still should get like 110. You got Clary, you got Petrarca, you got all those guys who are scavenging for points. Maybe Clary's the one who misses out. I've skipped on Bontempelli and I've skipped on Lyons, and we've moved on to the M4. And we're going to Tom Mitchell. I think he can get back up to 120. Broken leg, happened 2 years ago. It usually takes 2 years to fully heal. We saw what he could do in the second half of last year, and I don't think his role will change under a new coach. Or it won't change. You don't know what's going to happen, but you can't really do anything. Like, he's just going to pig out in the mids, get his handballs, get his touches, and get his way to a 120. So I believe in Tom Mitchell. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because of Hawthorn, but I think I've seen him in a lot of teams, so that's just confirming my bias to hope. And yeah, I think he's a good pick. At M5, I've got Sam Walsh. Most Ks in the AFL, Carlton have the easiest fixture. I think he can blow out and blow up and go to 120, 115, anywhere between there. I think he's just a safe pick. I think what you want in your midfield is these 5 for sure. And obviously I think Clary and Bont are the last 2 I'd want. But yeah, we'll move on to the M6. Now I've gone a bit pricey in the mids, you can see. Lachie Neale, 540k. He was M1 last year, or 2020. Brownlow medalist. We've seen what he can do. You know, just watch him in the preseason. He's going to just get back to that form a little. Had a little couple injuries last year, you know. Queensland had a little bit of COVID, was in Vic, you know. But it's Lachie Neale. We know what he can do. He rarely misses games, although last year he missed 7, which might be more he's ever missed in a season since he's been a best 22 player. But I think Lachie Neale can get back at the form. And for someone who is priced at 100 and can be an M1, I think, unless something tells us not to, I think you put him in. Now, Finlay McRae, I've got him in. George has been hyping him up. Hopefully he gets more mid-time. I've just got him there for now. Obviously, rookies are placeholders. But yeah, with DeGoey, his situation, maybe he has opportunity in the midfield. But yeah, he's just there for now. He might go down to another rookie depending on selection. We got Dacos there. Heard he's playing off halfback. You know, he's been hyped so much. I've seen him play in the, what's it called? NAB. Forgetting the league. But yeah, I've seen him play there, and NAB under 18s, I think that's it. Seen him play there and he looks phenomenal. Gets 40 touches, so obviously he's not playing against men, like 26-year-olds there, but I believe he can still be a good pick. Obviously he's a rookie, so hopefully he can generate cash. And the rest, just midfield rookies to fill out the bench. Heard Clark is mature age. Now, I've seen a lot of people have Darcy and Grundy. I've got Grundy and Marshall at the moment. The reason I haven't got Darcy is, well, one, with this structure I can't afford him, but I think Marshall has 110 potential. I think he went 110 in 2019 or 18, if I'm not wrong. One of those years. And, you know, priced at 98 and can go to 110, like, I think that's good value. 100k cheaper than Darcy. They both have had their injury struggles, like, in the past. Darcy was fine last year, but, I don't know. I'm not too, like, I know what Darcy can do. 130 after the bye, I think. And he is my biggest scary pick not going out with that. And I think round 1 comes along, he probably will be in my side. But it is scary not seeing him there at the moment. And Gawn. Gawn is still scary to see that he can still be an R1, but you just don't want to pay. Even though he's only 15k more than Darcy, you don't want to pay for someone who has another ruckman in the side who Melbourne are trying to utilise. And Grundy, we know what Grundy can do. He can average 130 and at 620k. I think that's a good selection. And I've just got the cheapest ruck forward at the moment. I heard good thing about Sam Hayes though, so he might get games. So if he does, I don't think we'll be going with a loophole this year. Now the forward line. You look at it and you're like, Jesus Christ, that is putrid. And I kind of agree with you. I've starved it to provide for the midfield, and it looks hideous. But I think having Neil or one of those top 5 in the midfield extra, if we get enough forward rookies, I think I will do this. Now Dunkley, we saw what he did the first 6 rounds last year. He was number 1 in the whole comp, and he was averaging 130s. Not sure if he was in the 140s. I know he was in the 130s though. 558k. If he gets midfield time, and we know he will, and we know he will get midfield time, lock him in. If he's looking a bit skeptical forward, maybe not lock him in. But I still think there's no other player I would be very interested in here. Mitch Duncan is aging. I think that average is heavily skewed to an injury. But I still just don't like that as a pick. Now at M2, you can see who I've got, but if DeGoey plays round 1, he's someone you might have to consider. We saw what he could do last year, but he might be in jail. Isaac Heaney is another one. He can score. He just sometimes can't get on the park, even though he played 20 games last year. The Heaney's a never-ending cycle, so don't want to get too hyped. And then Zach Butters, one of the highest averaging to start off, then got injured, was on 117 at halftime, got scaled down 20 points. If he's playing full-time mid, I think I have to get him in. Full-time mid for a 440k forward who is very skillful, and we saw what he could do last year. I think out of the first, until that Richmond game, he had one bad game where they got absolutely pumped by the Eagles. And he still scored 63, which is pretty bad, but he had been putting out 150 the first 2 weeks, which is pretty good, but they did play pretty poor opponents in the first 2 rounds. So you look at my M2, F2. I don't know how many people are a fan of this pick. I've not seen anyone with him. Cam Rayner. People were looking at him last year. He was meant to get more mid-time. And people were starting him with at 400k. Or thinking about him at 400k until that injury. 280k for someone if he can get mid-time is really good. I think he averaged 80 or 70, low 70s in the year before the ASL. So I think if Rayner plays mid, he can at least average in the 80s to 85, and that would boost his price to around 440. So that's like a 150k profit. Obviously that's not accurate, but that's the value thing I'm trying to show. He could be a pick, he could not. He's just there for the moment because I had to slide someone in. I don't mind the pick. Obviously, F3 Canelio, just slide him in. Should be relatively slow if he's a part of the leadership group, even though he's been dropped before. That's GWS for you. But I think, voice crack, sorry. I do think he's a great selection at 260k. He's someone who can average 100, average 90. And I think you just got to slot him in as a forward. And the rookies, the only one I'll speak on is Elijah Hollins. Lock him in if he gets game. And yeah, that's about it. This is my team, heavily stacked in the midfield, which makes it hurt a little bit up forward and in the ruck. But I'm happy with it. Not really going to touch it much until February, I'd say. I probably will fiddle with it, but I doubt any major changes will happen. And if I do make a major change, someone gets injured, something, I'll update you then. But yeah, this might be the last time you see me for a little bit until 2022. So with that being said, this is being recorded on Christmas, so I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, and I'm hopefully going to be able to put out more content next year and stay consistent. Obviously, starting work next year, so hopefully that doesn't get in the way too much. Don't know what type of shifts I'll be working, but hopefully it'll be good. And yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next year, hopefully in January or February. But yeah, see ya. I'm not really good at outros, haven't done one, but I'll see you later.